Good morning and welcome to the Avico Building Back Better webinar. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Paul Halliwell. I've been with the business for approximately 5.5 years and I look after key and national end user chains. Previously to this role, I worked in butchery management and also worked in national account management for a dessert manufacturer for approximately 7 years. Before that, I worked in the food service industry and had great fun along the way. Chefing, F&B management, Group F&B Management for a couple of hotel chains. Today we'll be looking at 5 key topics on how to build back better. Not everything today will be relevant to your business. Some parts of today have come from past experiences, lessons learned from our peers, and instead of trepidation, excitement of future opportunities. During the last recession, people tended to dine out less frequently. Instead of once or twice a fortnight, it was only once or twice a month. But in doing so, when they went out to dine, they would normally uptrade. They would go for the more luxurious goods on the menu. They would swap from the rump steak to the ribeye, from a chicken breast maybe to the duck breast. But then on the sides, they may switch from standard fries to sweet potato fries or truffle fries. While people traded up in that way and ate out less frequently, we realised they weren't going out as often, and we saw the rise of the coffee shop market. With the coffee shop market, we also saw the rise of more cakes being eaten in the UK. Furthermore to the upselling of luxury goods and the coffee and cake boom of the last recession, necessity goods also played their part. These are products that were synonymous with a brand, the products that customers would go to because they knew that they delivered value for money. They were consistent quality, they were good portion size, and we knew what they were getting. These products also could deliver on different benefits, whether it had a healthy option, whether it was fully sustainable, but all of these things were considerations even for necessity items. During a recession, people are more price sensitive and finding the sweet spot on your menu is key to success. With home deliveries, people expect to spend between £6 and £10 per head on a main course. With out-of-home dining having a higher sweet spot on price than home deliveries, it's important with home deliveries to maximise every opportunity. Most of you probably have your own online ordering platform or use a delivery aggregator who takes a percentage of your profit. With the tighter margins involved in home delivery, it's important to capture as much of an order as possible. Cross-selling and upselling is key, but also we have to find ways to reward loyalty. Personalisation is important for growth. Customers that tailor their meal are already in a positive mindset, knowing they're receiving something bespoke matching their expectations. Nando's do this incredibly well, and here is a brief snippet. People eating out less, they consider more where they plan to dine. Different customers have different needs, but normally there are 4 key aspects that they consider, highlighted on this slide. Safety is now a key topic, and this could be a whole webinar. Personalisation we have touched upon, so this is quality of service and food. Brewhouse and Kitchen used tech to improve quality of service and saw spend per head increase by £9 after the first lockdown eased. They also surveyed their guests and 45% believe quality of staff now to be of more importance. And with new tech, systems training is key to that growth in sales. Quality of food is also important, but it's relevant to your customers' requirements and their expectations of your business. With home delivery here to stay for most businesses, it's important to look at the impact it may have on your day-to-day operation. There are many aspects to consider, and the kitchen is a key starting point. Is the kitchen large enough to cope with the extra demand during peak business hours? Do you have enough storage space for product and packaging? Could the flow of the kitchen be improved to minimise operational impact? Can you operate with the same kitchen team, or do you need extra staff? And what is the cost implication? What benefit does range rationalisation bring, and what does it mean for your business? Whilst the operational side is key to range rationalisation, it's just as important to understand the value of your menu. Some questions are worth asking. What is key to your brand? What are you known for as a caterer? What do customers expect from you as a business? Are we adding or creating value with this product on the menu? Are our key dishes working via home delivery? If not, how can we improve them? Can we limit ingredients and products during range rationalisation? And what dishes are creating our best sales and gross profit percentage? The questions just raised are important, but depending on the size of each of your business, scorecards can be a great tool to evaluate your offering. But it's worth remembering seasonality and locality. Scorecards can also be helpful when assessing limited time offers. It's amazing how the food service industry learns and adapts to new scenarios and can introduce new products. The scorecard is a great start when looking at menu analysis. Like a SWOT analysis, focuses on what's key and drives your business success. You will have stars that shine and unfortunately a few dogs. But the other two segments need to have further consideration. Whilst evaluating your current menu, it is important to make sure your stars shine brightly. But what else can you do to grow more profitable sales alongside staying true to your core values and principles? Are there trends that could somehow be implemented onto your menu, creating a fusion dish? Have you tested your dishes in the restaurant and out of home? Do they perform differently? And if so, how can you improve on the dish performance? Would price increases or decreases on certain menu dishes have an effect on demand? Or could portions be decreased or enlarged to give a better value perception? In sales you have the 80-20 rule, but on your menu it might be slightly different, as in 70-30. With this in mind, what dogs could be cut and cost savings made? Limited time offers are a great way of creating something to shout about, to get customers engaging with your business and also talking to their friends about your business. How you advertise an LTO can create the consumer's fear of missing out on something special. Limited time offers are a fantastic way of trialling a new product, taking advantage of seasonality, pricing and trends, or just bringing back your customers' old favourites. Fast food chains sell limited time offers exceptionally well. The buzz they create drives sales of profitable lines and existing items. It's important to make sure limited time offers can be easily introduced to the kitchen without creating any problems. An LTO does not need to be an entire new item, but a twist on one of your core items. The vegan trend has been growing steadily for a number of years and expected to continue. Chains have opened up, such as Neat Burger, Halo Burger and Ooey, to satisfy consumer demand. There is evidence to suggest in some reports that a group of people with a vegan amongst them tend to dine out or order in where there is a good vegan option. I hope you enjoy the brief video. Coming out of lockdown and into a recession raises several challenges, and we need to embrace new opportunities, new technology and new best practices to remain open and to build back better. Most businesses are open for lunch and dinner. Several are openly embracing delivery and plan to continue with home delivery as lockdown eases. The chart above shows a decline percentage in delivery visits for breakfast and snacking, but in general terms there has been a 14% increase in the number of delivery visits over all meal occasions. On top of the visit increase, delivery spend grew by 40%. Meal times are becoming blurred with people now working from home. Brunches and late lunches are now a regular occurrence for many. I hope you enjoy the video highlighting a grab-and-go home delivery breakfast concept idea for when you reopen. I hope you all enjoyed the presentation. We now have a Q&A session with David Peevers. Summit Chatter was hoping to join us, but unfortunately he's still held up on the train. Please can you submit your questions via the chat function? And David, over to you. Please introduce yourself.
I'm David Peevers. I recently started up my own business, Peevers.co, providing activist solutions for F&B. Previous to that, was head of food and beverage for a company called Metropolitan Pubs, part of Green. And I've also worked for CRG, the restaurant group, on different brands, and previously M&B a few years ago on All Bar One and Browns, and quite a few others. So that's it.
Okay, let's see if you have any questions.
Yes, I've got it. It says, hi, David. A general question to kick off. What do you see as the biggest challenge for the food service market when restaurants reopen for dining?
That's a big question. For me, what I'm concentrating on is the biggest thing is safety for our guests coming in, and the perception of how they're going to use space, and also how that's going to affect our teams. So are our teams feeling happy and safe in the environment, and are our guests? I think that's going to be the first and foremost challenge, is people feeling safe and the perception of safety around cleanliness, hygiene, table spacing as we return from lockdown. And I think there will still be some reticence in some diners that will take longer to return to the market, especially the older clientele.
Okay. David, do you see technology playing a part with safety?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been talking to some guys at StoreKit that have got a great app which is allowing you to order at home, at the bar, well, not really at the bar, but in the pub or in the garden from one app. And actually, that's really smart, because it would also help some of the fees that Deliveroo and other platforms are available, will counter against the operators. So there's a great opportunity there. And not only is it something that I think we've been wanting to get those extra sales anyway for years. I mean, how often have we thought about just putting on someone in the garden to ask for extra sales? You'll get that immediately. And when I worked for Metro, what we noticed coming out of the first lockdown, we had order and pay, and places that were having order and pay, and you really getting behind it, were having 20% sales higher than people that were doing the traditional way. So whilst you still need to have that absolute connection with the guest and with the server, because that is an important part of hospitality. And I guess it's a bit that divides hospitality and retail, right? And that's a bit of a line we've got to be careful with. So technology is going to be massively part of it, but how we wrap that up with hospitality is going to be a massive challenge. Because if we're not careful, you end up retailing your drinks and food, And why would you go out and spend more than buying it from a shop?
Good point. One thing I noticed was Simon from Brewhouse and Kitchen mentioning that with technology being used after the last lockdown, he saw an average spend increase of £9 a head. Next question.
What do you remember from the last recession? What worked well and what lessons were learned?
Oh, hello. Is that from Oliver?
It is, yes.
Hi, Oliver. Well, look, I had an unenviable insight into the last recession because I had 5 businesses that closed on January 2009, which was quite a sobering time. So I went through it at the sharp end, so to speak. And coming out of it, what I learned was that heavy discounting is a drug you can't get off. So be careful. So do bundle deals by all means, and give people a good reason to come to you and buy your product. But it's got to be right. And what I noticed on trends and coming out of this, I think there's a subtle and big important difference between coming out of this lockdown and recession, if you use that word, that is impending than before, because there are no structural or systemic issues with finance at the moment. So this is all about the fact we had to close down. So there will be a huge amount of income in the middle classes that are ready to spend it. So we need to make sure we're ready to take that money, and we need to make sure that we're offering the right thing. So if you go back to the last recession, which was systemic, and there was a crunch of a freeze of money, what happened was, look at the trends that came out of the last recession. So street food started in around 2010, the year after the recession. Why is that? People wanted innovation, they wanted choice, they wanted realistic pricing, they weren't worried about discounting. It was £8 to £10 per piece when you go for street food. Look at the businesses that have come out of that: Bone Daddies, Pizza Pilgrims, Dinorama, Digbeth Dining. Brewdog really was born in 2007, but really started hitting its stripes then. So if you think about that, those street food operators that came out of a really difficult time, you could argue then have actually became mainstream. And you've got people like Swingers and Flight Club that are experiential, that really came off the back of the street food market. So, and what also worked really well was premium when it was premium. So, for example, the blue collar big night out, as I call it, was cornered by Miller and Carter. That started around that time. And actually, you'd say, why are you going to put a premium offer in a blue collar working class market? That's what it is, because actually people still want to go out and celebrate. So what worked really well coming out of the recession was people really understanding what their product was, being innovative and diverse, and premium products. And I see that happening again now, and I think we need to be mindful of going back too safe.
Excellent, thank you. Great answer. Another question from Calvin. Do you feel consumer habits will have changed as a result of COVID?
Yeah. I mean, undoubtedly. I mean, we don't know what they're going to be, right? Because none of us has got a crystal ball here, and we're not going to know that until probably, middle of May, middle of June. That's going to happen. However, my habits have changed. How I order food has changed at home, and I think that we are going to see people going back to restaurants in their droves in some areas. We're going to see other people, especially in country pubs. That's going to be a massive hit for us, and people with gardens, as we know, and roof terraces and anywhere outside. So I think they will have changed, and I think that the hardest part is we don't know how they have changed, and we don't know what they will do. And we can make a best guess that people want space, they want security, they want safety. But here's the thing, though. I've been ordering the odd pizza from my favourite Rudy's. Now, they're my favourite pizza takeaway, right? Now, there are other takeaways are available, but that's one that I use. And I love them. They turn up, it's Saturday night, and it's a good price. I get a bottle of wine, and we're all happy. Now, when lockdown comes and I can go to a pub, the last thing I'm going to order is a pizza. The last thing I'm going to order is a burger or fish and chips. Do you know why? Because that's what I've been ordering for the last 3 months on lockdown. So we have to bear that in mind in terms of our menu ranging and rationalisation. Excellent,
thank you. A question from Shah. Do you think pubs have embraced home delivery? If not, how can they?
It's a really good question and a hard one to answer, but I've got some insight into it. When we at Metro, which I was there for nearly 5 years, so last year when we tried to embrace, I say the word tried, home delivery, there's a stumbling block. If you're a consumer, you're sat on your sofa like I am now, and it's Friday night and it's 7:30, and you say, right, we can't go anywhere. What are we going to buy in? And your kid says to you, who's 15, I fancy a burger. And just imagine that scene, and imagine what pops into your head at that point at 7:30 on a Saturday night. You just got a can of Brewdog there on the side, and you say burger. What do you think? Do you think the Red Lion on the corner, or do you think Honest Burger?
You'd think the burger place.
Exactly. So we got, whilst click and collect in the shops worked a bit for us, home delivery from Deliveroo from our pubs, if I can be honest, was 1% of sales. So really is about, you have to get to your local market really quickly. You have to make a name for yourself. And you have to understand that when someone thinks pizza, whether you do a great pizza in the Dog and Duck, you're not going to think about that first. You're going to think of Rudy's or Franco Manca or Pizza Pilgrims. So my feelings is that those pub operators have to become excellent at one or two things. So Sunday roast is a fantastic opportunity. We did well on that. And things you can get in a pub, you can't get in a burger shop. So I'm definitely going to go for a charter pie, right? I'm definitely going to go for a handmade fish pie, but I wouldn't bother with burgers and chicken wings. Let's honest.
Makes a lot of sense. I've got a question from Neil. You've kind of touched upon it slightly already. How do consumer promotions help to drive sales in restaurants? And I guess because you've covered that discounting is potentially long-term damaging. Is there any examples of the types of promotions that will work for short-term and long-term?
Yeah, I think it's about adding value where we can, and I think that certainly in terms of bundle deals, you know, if you're talking about embracing technology, it's easy. I'm sure that many people on here will have just bought loads of pairs of shoes over lockdown, like I have, because it's just something to do, right? And you can spend your money. So I'm pretty sure that when you're on your Deliveroo app, you're going to add a bottle of wine for it. You're going to add added value products rather than it be a straight discount, which number one looks desperate and brand value. And number two, counterintuitively, we often as consumers want to buy the thing and spend our money, and actually things often puts people in some ways. So I would much rather see an added value bolt-on bundle deal that made me feel I'm getting something good because I'm spending the money anyway.
I remember in the last recession as well, you were mentioning how certain chains went heavily on the discount. And those companies found it hard to come back to where they were at originally, especially on the price point.
Yeah.
One thing I remember quite clearly, though, there were certain chains that went for set menus. Sort of 3 courses, you could either order 2 or 3 courses off that menu, but it was like a 3-3-3. 3 starters, 3 mains, 3 desserts. And with that, it was different to what was on the core menu. So it was perceived as value. And when people went back to the core menu, it didn't affect them when it came to the price point.
Yeah. And would you not really embrace seasonality and localism as much as possible in your businesses? Because that way you get a cheaper product that comes to your business anyway. So you can add value by doing a great set menu. You could add value by doing a great special with local ingredients where possible, which often comes into your door cheaper than something else that's pre-made or packaged somewhere else. So I think you're also building your brand at the same time, right?
Oliver, any more questions?
Well, just a question from myself. So if you were to give 3 pieces of advice for a restaurant planning reopening, what would be the top 3 things that you'd advise, David?
Well, I think number one is safety and planning. So in your business, make sure people feel safe when they're coming in terms of table ratios, staff. That's number one. That's what's going to be important. Number two, team. your team and aren't happy and comfortable and feeling safe themselves, then I think that's really, really important. I also think that whilst we're on, this is still point number 2, there needs to be a point around face coverings as we go forwards, because I know that a lot of people will feel uncomfortable even when restrictions are lifted. And one of the biggest things that holds back the hospitality element is masks. So I would advise people to have visors so they can see people's faces. But I would carry that on past even when the guidance changes, because I think there's still going to be reticence. And number 3, you've got to know your product and be right for it. If you're just going to sell pies, make sure they're the best pies in the damn world. Don't try and sell everything for everybody, because we can see by the companies that came out of the last recession that now are in the mainstream, they didn't do it for everybody. They started good at, and they stay true to it.
Excellent, thank you. I mean, from just to put my marketing head on, I know when I've been sat with friends and family recently, we've all been discussing, where's the first place you're going to go and eat? I think people are in almost like the choice selection, the choice thinking about what they're going to do in the future, and I think it's really key that brands are out there and making sure that they're showcasing what they're going to be offering and how great the food is, so they're getting in the mindset of potential customers as well. For when people are set free, there's going to be a lot of competition, so it's good to get in there early, I guess.
There will, but also here's the thing: is remember that first time you went back to the pub after the first lockdown, excuse me, and let's pick on a pint of Peroni, right? Peroni's a pretty ubiquitous, great drink if you want to get hammered after 2 pints. Not always that good if you just want to have a nice night out. However, if your pub is selling Peroni, for the first 3 visits, you're like, I'm in a pub again. It's fantastic. I've got cold beer in a pint glass. It's not a takeaway. I'm not sat with my family. I'm sat with my mates and I'm having a bit of a laugh. How long does it last for? How long does it last for until someone thinks, still got bloody Peroni? What's going on? Where's my cold wave? Where's my new drink? So I don't know. I think you've got 4 or 5 visits until people just forget the fact we've even had COVID and move on from it. So I think you'll have an initial difficulty at the start when people don't really know what to do. The teams will be difficult. We'll worry about social distancing. But if we're back in pubs in May properly, then what we're looking at by June, end of June, probably people will act like this hasn't happened. So you're going to put a lot of work in when we open to open safe, and probably a lot of that work will become obsolete after 5 or 6 weeks.
But really, evaluation is key to any business surviving, where the first 3 or 4 weeks will get the people in. It's then the offering afterwards and learning from the lessons over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And looking at what the competition locally are doing as well.
Yeah. But you have to stand out. We'll have to stand out as an operator, won't you? And you can't just stand out by price, because that'll get you somewhere. But if you just stand out by price and don't deliver a product, that's not going to give you anything medium long term.
Oliver, any more questions?
I've got one last question. We see retailers like Morrison's testing food service concepts in store, as well as delivering pizza from store. How do you think they can develop their offering in the future?
We were talking about the supermarkets themselves, or how we can learn from that.
I'm not entirely sure.
What I would, sorry to butt in, Oliver, what I have seen in some of the supermarkets, a lot of them are into this, and places like the Co-op and stuff are investing, I know, heavily into this, is that there is an opportunity, isn't there, to make the food court experiential in the supermarket. So if you take something like Italy, which is coming to London sometime this year, or Metropolitan, part of Metropolitano, I think you'll find a lot of the retailers trying to flex into that food court space and actually keeping people in the shop. So I think that's a great question. And actually, you can see how retail and how actually retail, again, are trying to steal the lunch of hospitality, excuse the pun. So I think it's a smart question, because I think that's where they're going to go. If you can keep people in your shop for an hour, having something actually in the shop, they're going to spend more, aren't they? And we're taking a meal equation. They're taking excuse me a second, but the retailers are obviously looking to take away meal occasions from hospitality as much as they can.
Interesting. Okay, that's the last of the questions.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Hope it was enjoyable.